Continuing from the previous episode 325. The core of this silver formation is actually standing in the Nigong Wan inside my body slowly. And looking at the appearance, it seems that he is very afraid of the magic core inscription hanging on my Nigong Wan. Xiao Yan also found something wrong. How? Have you absorbed the core of the silver formation? Elder Zhu also looked at Xiao Yan and asked. Absorb? Xiao Yan frowned upon hearing this, and then hesitated. How? Not absorbed? Old Zhu's voice also changed a bit, and then looked at Xiao Yan anxiously. No, the core of the silver formation seems to have stopped at the Nigong Wan in my body. Xiao Yan also said truthfully, after all, there is no need to hide this kind of thing. What? Don't tell me that you have condensed the inscription of your life? Elder Zhu just heard Xiao Yan's voice, and his face changed greatly, and then he said with a bit of anger. The rarity of Dou formation masters is as precious as cleaning sand in the ocean, and the birth of a Dou formation master must be a symbol of a peak powerhouse. As for the training of the battle formation master, the first and most important thing is to condense the core inscriptions. After all, only with the core inscriptions can the formations be condensed to attack the enemy, and then the next step of cultivation can be carried out. So this is also the reason why Elder Zhu's face changed greatly when he heard that Xiao Yan had condensed the core inscriptions of life. After all, the condensed inscriptions of life are no less important than the fighting qi exercises that he chose to practice. Xinya 81 Zhang Wian Wang U, Kai 8, approximately 1 ZS. Koem. Once the condensed core inscriptions are wrong or the condensed core inscriptions of life are too weak, then if you want to recondense other core inscriptions of life in the future, the difficulty is undoubtedly more difficult than reaching the sky. Moreover, if the condensed core inscription is too weak, it will greatly limit his future achievements, so this old Zhu is also quite angry. You kid is really worrying. Elder Zhu also snorted coldly, then stared at Xiao Yan. Senior Zhu, I can't help it. Xiao Yan was also helpless, vaguely remembering the nameless old man at that time, and it was a last resort at that time. Otherwise Xiao Yan would not have condensed the core inscription so easily. It was only vaguely condensed under unsolved conditions. Summon out the core inscription of your life and show it to me. Elder Zhu also changed his previous expression and said to Xiao Yan again. Now that this kid has condensed the core inscription of life, then if he wants to recondensed, even Zhu Lao is helpless, and now he has to pray. The core inscription of life that this kid has condensed should not be too bad, otherwise it will not be too bad for the core of life. The strength of the inscription is related to the future cultivation of this Dou formation master. Yeah, Xiao Yan also responded, and then closed the door. At the same time, a faint spiritual force slowly appeared in the room. Haha, this kid's mental strength has actually reached the level of nearly 6,000 core inscriptions. This really surprised me, Elder Zhu also said slowly. Then the next moment, before the voice of Zhu Lao, a pure white light also slowly flew out from Xiao Yan's body from the Nigong Wan. At the moment when the core inscription of Xiao Yan's divine movement appeared, all the scrolls in the room seemed to be as if the courtiers surrendered to the king. Numerous scrolls stood quietly, and they exuded an air of great respect. This is, when Elder Zhu saw the core inscription of life in front of Xiao Yan, his pupils shrank fiercely. Because even Zhu Lao's eyesight can't see the source of this core inscription. But one thing is certain, the strength of Xiao Yan's core inscription of life, and the core inscription of life that terrifies him are even worse. Old Zhu? Xiao Yan was also at a loss, then looked at old Zhu who was a little shocked in front of him and said slowly. How did the core inscription of your life come from? According to my guess, it shouldn't be condensed by you, it's a bit like inheriting from others. Zhu Lao also stared at the core inscription of the divine life in front of him. When Xiao Yan heard the words, he also looked at it carefully. The core inscription in front of Xiao Yan was originally a square rune the size of a fist, but when Xiao Yan summoned it this time, Xiao Yan abruptly discovered that the size of the core inscription of divine movement was impressive. With the size of his own palm, it has grown several times compared to before, and Xiao Yan can feel that the spiritual power in his body is continuously increasing, which must be related to the core inscription of the divine movement. I got this core inscription of life from a certain ruin. Xiao Yan also answered truthfully. Relics? What ruins? Zhu Lao heard the words, and his tone also became extremely loud, apparently found something. I remember that the nameless old man didn't seem to say his name in the end. But this core inscription of my natal life seems to be named Spirit. Xiao Yan also thought about it carefully and said, God move. Zhu Lao also shook his head, and then he didn't stop there too much. After all, from Zhu Lao's eyes, he knew that Zhu Lao didn't know the core inscription of this *** move. Although I don't know the strength of the core inscription of your life, I don't think it's too weak. I'll tell you about the rank and some things about this battle formation master. You read link to www.youcanshu.com. Zhu Lao also spoke slowly, but Xiao Yan could also see that the strong man in front of him was in a very emotional mood. Happy, after all, there is nothing in this world more happy than to find a person who is connected with the same vein. Okay. Xiao Yan was very excited when he heard the words. When he came to the Fenxiang Pavilion, what troubled Xiao Yan the most was his spiritual power and this fighting formation master. After all, Xiao Yan's use of spiritual power and fighting formation master was no different from that of a layman. Spiritual power is different from soul power, but it complements soul power. The cultivation of spiritual power is divided into 7 levels. Ningguan, formation, immortal master, celestial master, earth master, emperor master, holy master. Condensing the text is the first step to becoming a battle formation master. You have the qualifications to cultivate spiritual power, open up Ni Gong Wan, and condense the core inscriptions of your life. The formation of an array is the second step, which is to master the core inscriptions familiarly, and then condense a formation to besiege or attack the enemy. As for the other 5 levels, they also represent their enormous spiritual power. As for the ranks of Dou formation masters, it is the same 10th rank, but the promotion of each rank depends on spiritual power, and the strength of Dou formation masters is also related to the number of core inscriptions that appear from spiritual power. The more core inscriptions that are condensed, the more terrifying the formation you cast. After Zhu Lao finished speaking, he slowly laughed. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 326. When Xiao Yan heard this, he also carefully tasted what Zhu Lao said. Old Zhu, where is your rank? The next moment, Xiao Yan seemed to remember something, and hurriedly asked. His pupils became extremely hot. Since this old Zhu knows so many secrets, his own strength is undoubtedly extremely terrifying. You kid knows what to say to me. But it's okay to tell you. My spiritual power has entered the level of a celestial master. As for the Dou formation master, I have also set foot on the 6th grade Dou formation master. Zhu Lao also smiled slowly, as if he was speaking in bland and unremarkable words. Heavenly master, after the spiritual power has set foot on the immortal master, it is able to compete with the strong immortal warriors. As for this celestial master who is more powerful than the immortal master, it must be even more terrifying. 6th rank battle formation master. The strength of the formation displayed by the 6th rank battle formation master is terrifying and comparable to that of some fighting immortal level powerhouses. Xiao Yan was also extremely shocked in his heart. What, little guy, you're shocked? Elder Zhu also noticed that Xiao Yan's eyes were a little dull, and he spoke slowly, with some tenderness in his voice. Senior, with your spiritual power at the level of a celestial master, I am afraid that some ordinary fighting immortals will not be your opponents. Xiao Yan also spoke with difficulty, because even though Xiao Yan had a high evaluation of Zhu Lao, but now the fact is right in front of you, and it's hard to believe. There is such a terrifying power hidden in the depleted body of Zhu Lao. If you have cultivated your spiritual power to the level of an immortal master, you are qualified to compete with a half-immortal or a powerhouse who has just stepped into the level of fighting immortals. As for the celestial master, he also has the qualifications to fight against immortal fighters. As far as I'm concerned, even if you can't defeat an ordinary 1-star or 2-star fighting immortal powerhouse, you can still remain invincible. Elder Zhu also thought about it for a while, and then said solemnly, The Dou formation master is so terrifying. Xiao Yan also murmured. Obviously Xiao Yan also knew that the strength of the old Zhou in front of him should still be at the level of Dou Di. At most a 9-star Dou Di strong. Dou Xian strong will definitely not. But what shocked Xiao Yan the most was the huge spiritual power of Elder Zhu in front of him. With the special occupation of Dou formation master and the strength of the 9-star Dou emperor, even fighting against a Dou Xian strong be invincible. He. You don't have to be too ambitious, and your future achievements will not be lower than mine. Elder Zhu also comforted Xiaoyan. Teacher, I'll have to thank you for taking care of me from now on. Xiaoyan also laughed slowly. Until this moment, Xiaoyan was also convinced by the old Zhu in front of him. The next moment, Xiaoyan also focused his attention on the core inscription of the White Divine Movement Natal Life hanging in front of him. I think the core inscription of your life is also very strange. Every time I probe his interior, I will be bounced off by a strange force. Although I don't know why, the core inscription of your life gives me the feeling that it's like the ocean, like a deep abyss, like a prison. Zhu Lao also stared at the core inscription of the divine life in front of Xiaoyan and slowly scrutinized it. Hearing this, Xiaoyan also frowned, because the condensation of this core inscription is largely from the mysterious scroll Old Man. Now that Old Man is also an unknown old man, there is no way to talk about it, but the only thing that is known is the core inscription just a quarter. Etc. The core inscription of your life seems to be a little incomplete. Zhu Lao also shrank his pupils tightly, and then closed his eyes suddenly. At the same time, a huge spiritual force also emerged from Zhu Lao's body in an instant. As soon as the spiritual power emerged, it rushed towards Xiaoyan's inscription on the core of his divine life. The next moment, Zhu Lao's spiritual power also passed through the core inscription of Shendong's life. No wonder. Elder Zhu also withdrew his mental strength the next moment, and then smiled slowly. Cough. Cough. Xiaoyan was also extremely shocked. Obviously, when Elder Zhu's huge mental power appeared just now, Xiaoyan also found that compared with that mental power, he was as small as an ant. The core inscription of your life should be incomplete. Elder Zhu also said to Xiaoyan. When I got this scroll in the ruins, an unknown old man opened up Nigong Wan for me, and the core inscription of the divine movement was also given to me by the unknown old man. The nameless old man also said back then that the core inscription of the divine movement is only a quarter. Xiaoyan also tried his best to recall. Don't worry, none of this is important, and it won't affect your spiritual power cultivation. As long as you cultivate well, I will solve these things for you. Elder Zhu also said slowly, with extremely confident pride in his voice. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang U. Kai 8.1 ZS, Koem. The disciple thanked the teacher first. Xiaoyan heard the words and glanced at the Elder Zhu in front of him gratefully. Obviously, in terms of the status of the Elder Zhu, it seemed that he was a condescending elder to serve as the elder in the burning incense pavilion. However, he didn't think too much, because the old man in front of him was also Xiaoyan's teacher, so Xiaoyan didn't care about the teacher's thoughts. Take it back. Looking at how vague your spiritual power cultivation is, have you mastered the way to cultivate spiritual power? Old Zhu also frowned, and then he felt the somewhat disordered spiritual power in Xiaoyan's body. This, Old Zhu, my spiritual power cultivation is completely a layman. There is no correct way to cultivate spiritual power, so the progress is so slow. Xiaoyan said helplessly. After all, if he had known the cultivation method of spiritual power early www. Link to novel mtl.com with Xiaoyan's temperament, his current mental strength is not weak. It's no wonder you. After all, there are so few Dou formation masters, even in the entire continent, so very little is known about the cultivation methods of this spiritual power. But I see that your spiritual power has initially entered the level of a formation. You can rely on your own exploration to enter the formation, which is enough to show your deep understanding of the Dou formation master. Zhu Lao was also quite relieved. Old Zhu, the way to cultivate spiritual power. Xiaoyan also said, the cultivation of spiritual power is different from the cultivation of your pharmacist's soul power, and it is also different from the cultivation of vindictiveness. The cultivation of spiritual power depends on meditation, or to absorb the essence of the sun and the moon. After Zhu Lao finished speaking, he also put on a rather sophisticated look, and then stared at Xiaoyan tightly. Meditation? Absorb the essence of the sun and the moon? Xiaoyan was also the first to hear about the cultivation method of spiritual power, and he was immediately puzzled. Okay, let's go here first today. I'll teach you the extra things when we come back from the Xuanling Emperor Pond. Today, our burning incense pavilion seems to have guests. After Lao Zhu finished speaking, the wooden door of the house quietly opened, and then he looked into the distance. At the same time, there were several uninvited guests outside the Burning Incense Pavilion and Burning Heaven territory. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 327. There was a group of 5 people. The leader was a burly man with a very conspicuous scar on his left eye, and the other 4 slowly followed behind. Is it right here? A man with a fierce aura also said slowly to the people around him. Reporting to the 6th prince, the 3 people who are eligible to enter our Xuanling Emperor Pond for immersion this time are in it. A follower also said slowly. Since it's on the way this time, let me take them back. The man known as the 6th prince also said slowly, but there was a strong contempt in his voice. Obviously for the 3 most outstanding Miaozi felt strange to join the Burning Incense Pavilion, and even if they joined the Burning Incense Pavilion, they still had to go to soak in the extremely precious Xuanling Emperor Pond in their Xuanling imperial family. That is the Xuanling Emperor Pond. Even their direct descendants are not qualified to enter. The only way to enter is only those who have made great contributions to the Xuanling royal family. Du He, the 6th prince of the Xuanling royal family, is a powerful man in the late stage of the 5-star Dou Di. What kind of people are these people? How can the lions open their mouths to ask our Xuanling royal family to come up with 3 qualifications? Du He is also extremely puzzled. Obviously, he is outside all year round, and he is also concerned about some of the current Xuanling royal family. The form is also unclear. Reporting to the 6th prince, these 3 people participated in the points looting competition and made great contributions to the fight against the twin ghost emperors. Therefore, they have united the powerhouses of the 9 super sects, and they will definitely give it together. The entourage also continued, the 3 behind the back. The position is more like a guard, protecting the 6 princes. It doesn't matter, let's go in first. Du He also shook his head, and then suddenly urged his grudge. 6th prince, absolutely. The sky above each of these sects is forbidden. If you forcibly break in, even if you are the 6th prince of the Xuanling royal family, these sects have sufficient reasons to kill you. The entourage was also frightened. Then he said to the 6th prince, Xinya 81 Zhang Wian Wang U, Kai 8.1 ZS, Koem, why is it so troublesome? Du He also stared slightly at the red-hot Burning Heaven territory, and a faint wave emanated from it. It seemed that what his entourage said was true. 6th prince, let's forget it. The 3 of them going to the Xuanling royal family will definitely be led by their strong Fenxiang pavilion. After all, the relationship between our Xuanling imperial family and the Fenxiang pavilion is also. Let's not get involved. The attendant also whispered, since you are here, you must not return empty-handed. Du He also said plainly, as if the breath just disappeared, revealing the dignity and elegance that a prince should have. But it's not like you don't know the temper of our King Xuanling. If it doesn't work out, the attendant was also extremely worried. Enough, I have the final say here. Du He also said angrily, hey, these 6 princes are still so confused to win the respect of King Xuanling. Dangtang Burning Incense Pavilion, isn't it something you can shake as a mere 5-star fighting emperor in the late stage? The entourage also slowly retreated behind Du He, and then slowly looked at the sky above Burning Tianyu. He has already notified the people of the Burning Incense Pavilion, and he will surely come out to greet them soon. Old Bamboo, this is. Xiao Yan also relied on his huge soul power to sense the 5 Du He, and then turned his head to look at Zhu Lao. He, it's okay, let's bask him for a while. You go and call those Mu Yingying and Mu Feng. It's better to hit the sun if you choose another day. Today we will follow them to the Xuanling royal family. The effect of the Xuanling Emperor Pond is quite peculiar. Elder Zhu also smiled slowly. Yes, Xiao Yan agreed, then slowly exited the room and walked towards Wujuju. At this time, Xiao Yan also did not care about the cultivation method of spiritual power or other things. After all, it was more important to soak in the Xuanling Emperor Pond. Because the Xuanling royal family seems to have a relationship with Shengen. Even Xiao Yan had a bold guess. It is very likely that Sheng Yan is in the Xuanling royal family. Du He, the 6th prince of the Xuanling royal family. Elder Zhu also said slowly, then with a movement, he instantly disappeared into his wooden house. Damn Burning Incense Pavilion. Du He originally waited quietly outside the Burning Heaven territory, but minutes passed by, and people from the burning incense pavilion were not seen coming out to greet him, which made him extremely unhappy. After all, what are you talking about? Dou He is also a dignified prince. Wherever he goes, he is not a servile and courteous person. When and where did he receive this kind of treatment? It seems that the relationship between the burning incense pavilion and our Xuanling royal family will only be more serious than I imagined. The follower also sighed slowly. After all, he is only a lowly follower, and he knows very little about the relationship between the two. But one thing this follower can be sure of is that the sixth prince will definitely not be able to eat and walk around, because the background of the burning incense pavilion is extremely terrifying. Fenxiang Pavilion, why don't you come out to meet this king? The sixth prince, Dou He, was also full of breath, and then gathered his fighting spirit into a voice, which spread mightily outside the Fenxian territory. He, who am I supposed to be? It turned out to be King Xuanling's dog son. A strange voice also slowly appeared beside Dou He. Then the next moment, Dou He also felt that the source of the voice came from all directions in front of him. And he couldn't find the source of the sound at all, which made Dou He a little scared. In this case, there is only one possibility: then the person who came here at this time is much stronger than himself. We don't welcome people from the Xuanling royal family here. Tell me, do you want to kill yourself here or do I do it? After speaking, an old man dressed in plain clothes also slowly appeared outside the burning heaven. Link to domain www.novelmtl.com and then the smiling old man Dou Hewu people. When Dou He and the other five saw the old man, a fearful thought also occurred spontaneously, and the next moment, they turned around and ran away without looking back. Because the five of them all felt the real killing intent from this old man. Damn it! This is an accident. Dou He also stopped with a few people around him when he had escaped some distance, because they discovered that the space outside the burning heaven territory was actually banned by the old man. Sixth prince, you go first. The three guards beside him also said to Dou He. Although Dou He is eager to make a contribution, their responsibility is to protect the sixth prince, even if it is shattered. Ha, let's do it. Elder Zhu also spoke slowly. It seems that the relationship between Lao Zhu and the Xuanling royal family seems to be worse than I thought. Xiao Yan also secretly said. At the same time, the three of them, Mu Feng and Mu Yingying, were also rushing out of the burning heaven territory. Elder Dangtang burning incense pavilion is actually embarrassing a junior like me, so I'm not afraid of others laughing at it when it spreads. Dou He also knew that there was no hope of escape, and immediately said in a deep voice. Ha, this is all learned from your father Wang. You brought it into our burning incense pavilion sect without authorization, in an attempt to steal the secrets of my sect. Is this reason enough? Die. After Elder Zhu finished speaking, an extremely terrifying wave slowly radiated out. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 328. Boom boom boom. A terrifying energy beam also emanated from Zhu Lao's body, and then the next moment, it also slowly flew towards Dou He, the sixth prince not far away. The energy beam whizzed away with overwhelming power, and the space was shattered in the path, as if it could not bear the power. Moreover, even the space around Dou He was solidified, and the next moment, Dou He's inner terror also permeated. His pupils shrank tightly, and just now he wanted to stimulate the fighting chi in his body, but he found that he was suppressed by the invisible spiritual power of the old Zhu, and the fighting chi could not be used. Such a strange suppression. Damn it. It's actually the undefeated god of war, Ashes. The entourage beside the sixth prince Dou He also said with a sullen face. Obviously, you can recognize this terrifying existence at a glance. This undefeated god of war is one of the most terrifying beings in the Fenxiang Pavilion. Even if the five of them are given 100 courage, they would not dare to provoke them. Just when Elder Zhu's terrifying beam was about to attack Dou He, the three guards beside Dou He also looked at each other, and then their figures flashed, and they came to Dou He in an instant. Looking at the appearance, it was obvious that he was going to resist this Dou He. After all, their mission is to protect the sixth prince, and even at a critical time, maybe they have to sacrifice themselves. The undefeated god of war bullies a junior like this, but you lose your identity. Even when the terrifying beam attacked the three guards, a very loud voice accompanied by an illusory figure slowly appeared in the sixth prince Dou He's side. As soon as the illusory figure appeared, he he waved at the energy beam emitted by Zhu Lao, and the energy beam dissipated immediately. Hee hee, King Xuanling, it's really been a long time. When Zhu Lao was looking at this energy figure, he also slowly laughed, because Zhu Lao made such a move because he also found that there is some power in the dark. Dou He sighed, otherwise, with Zhu Lao's concentration, he would not have shot this Dou He so easily. After all, Zhu Lao was representing the burning incense pavilion at this time. Elder Zhu's smile is quite bright, but anyone with discernment can find some different fluctuations in it. It is as if the Elder Zhu hides a knife in his smile. Xiao Yan, why did Elder Zhu come out? It's not like I heard that this old Zhu is the most dependent on the old and the youngest in the burning incense pavilion. Besides Xiao Yan, Mu Yingying also spoke slowly. This old Zhu is one of the strongest in our incense pavilion. How could it be possible to rely on the old and sell the old? At most, there are some arrogance as a strong. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Yan also said slowly. Obviously these words were listened to by Zhu Lao outside the Fenshin territory, and he immediately glanced at not far from himself, and moved towards Xiao Yan who came by himself. This kid. Elder Zhu also said slowly, and the next moment, his pupils also became a little deeper, and then he stared at the illusory figure of King Xuanling in front of him. Obviously, even if this is just the Dou Qi energy clone of the Xuanling King, it should not be underestimated. After all, the strength displayed by the Xuanling King when he selected his disciples that day has already reached the level of the 9-star Dou Emperor, but he doesn't know that he has set foot on the level of a few turns. This is youngest bamboo. It is said that the status of this Elder Zhu is second only to the main and deputy pavilion masters and a few elders in the Fenxian pavilion. Mu Feng also grinned. Oh, hearing this, Xiao Yan stared at Mu Feng with great interest. Although Mu Feng could be trusted, when combined with the infernal corpse forest, Mu Feng seemed to know too much, right? Hee hee, my previous teacher was the elder in the Fenxiang pavilion, so. Mu Feng also hurriedly explained. No wonder, Xiao Yan suddenly said when he heard the words. It seems like there's going to be a battle in the sky. Mu Yingying also said softly, and then the three of them stopped their steps, and then looked at the confrontation between the old Zhu and King Xuanling in the sky. Today's incident was caused by your trespassing into the forbidden space of our burning incense pavilion, so you can't blame us. Elder Zhu was the first to speak. Obviously, no matter how unbearable the relationship between Fenxiang Pavilion and the Xuanling royal family is, now that there is the doppelganger of the Xuanling King, it is extremely difficult to kill the sixth prince, Dou He. Moreover, Lao Zhu himself and the Xuanling royal family also have a deep relationship, but Lao Zhu did not tell Xiao Yan, because Lao Zhu also did not want this grievance to spread to the next generation. What nonsense! Dou He is the one I dispatched to your burning incense pavilion to lead you to the Xuanling Emperor pawn this time, so you treat him like this? King Xuanling also glanced at the 5 people behind him, then turned his head and said yes. Old Zhu said viciously. Dou He, who was on the side, didn't dare to speak out. Obviously, he just tried to enter the burning heaven territory without permission. Now that this old Zhu found an excuse, he was speechless. Haha, King Xuanling, your ability to confuse right and wrong remains the same as before. But this is my burning incense pavilion, not your Xuanling royal family. Elder Zhu also laughed, and at the same time, an arrogant and unruly silver fighting spirit permeated instantly. Humph! King Xuanling's energy clone also snorted coldly, and then, unwilling to be outdone, released an extremely huge force. At this time, in the periphery of burning Tianyu, old Zhu was surrounded by silver fighting qi, and King Xuanling's clone was also slowly wrapped by a yellow fighting qi, which caught everyone's eyes. And a yellow vindictive aura also slowly flowed, and then the invisible 2 auras were secretly stalemate outside the Fen Tian territory. I didn't expect you, an immortal, to actually touch this threshold. King Xuanling's pupils shrank tightly in the next moment, obviously feeling an extremely strange power from the silver grudge on the old Zhou's body. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang U. Kai 8.1 ZS, Koem, hee hee, it's not a problem to deal with you. If you want to run away like 100 years, link to www.novelmtl.com you can try. Elder Zhu also said in a calm manner, but the unquestionable voice in his voice could not be faked. Hee hee, 100 years of shame. This king will take it back sooner or later with interest. King Xuanling's energy clone also said slowly, but the next moment, an extremely terrifying force also slowly disappeared from Xuanling. The king's energy clone is brewing. But before that, I also want to try to see how far you have reached. The mysterious figure of King Xuanling's energy avatar, which is also an illusory figure, slowly made a very eerie sound, and then stared at Zhu Lao. The next moment, the yellow vindictive aura also emerged from within King Xuanling's body, and then gathered in his hand to form an extremely dazzling bead. The seemingly inconspicuous beads, but the power contained in them actually surprised Du He and Xiaoyan. Because they also felt the terrifying power contained in the yellow beads, if it erupted outside this burning heaven territory. Then this burning heaven territory will also be severely damaged. It's actually a broken DZI bead. Du He's pupils also widened tightly, and then his eyes fixed on the yellow bead on the avatar of the Xuanling King. That bead, it seems unremarkable, but with Du He's eyesight, he can naturally feel the strange power inside. The power contained in the yellow beads. It seems to be a bit like the power of life and death. Ask for tickets. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 329. That yellow bead. Just when Xiaoyan was surprised, a slightly surprised voice came from his body. Master, what is the strange power in this yellow bead? Xiaoyan also asked, obviously at that moment, when Xiaoyan used his huge soul power to detect the yellow bead, the fluctuations are also instantly repulsed. Moreover, Xiaoyan had never felt this kind of power. If it wasn't for Xiaoyan's strong physique, he would have ended up in a rather miserable end. Under Xiaoyan's perception, the power in the Xuanling King's yellow beads seemed to contain a trace of the power of life and death. However, Xiaoyan had no doubt that if the yellow beads were picked up by himself, undoubtedly, there is only one fate, fall. It seems that the terrifying strength of this Xuanling King has also reached the 6th rank of the 9-star duty. The Golden Dragon King also said slowly, obviously thinking about something. Is the 9-star Dou Emperor above rank 6? Xiaoyan also muttered in his heart. What about the power of life and death? The next moment, Xiaoyan's pupils also became hot, because from the perception just now, the reason why the yellow beads had such a terrifying power must be because of the strange life and death force. Haha, this power of life and death is a good thing. Because the sign of a strong fighting immortal is the power of life and death within the body of fighting chi. And this power of life and death can only be condensed by stepping into the 9-star Dou Emperor and entering the 9 revolutions. When the power of life and death in the body condenses to a certain level, it will also be promoted to Dou Xian. Dou Xian, Dou Shen, is to cultivate to the realm of detachment from life and death. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also appeared slowly. Hearing this, Xiaoyan frowned, as if he was thinking about something. The next moment, in the depths of Xiaoyan's soul realm, a dark brown soul light group also vibrated slowly, and then fell silent again. What is this? Xiaoyan also muttered, and it was obvious that the one who had just made a noise was the holy flame soul seed obtained in the Yin Corpse Forest earlier. This King Xuanling seems to have the fluctuation of holy flame. The King of the Dragon also said slowly the next moment. Holy flame. Is it really in the Xuanling royal house? Xiaoyan heard the words and also discovered the extremely weak flame fluctuations before the Xuanling King clone. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang Wu. Kai 8.1 ZS. Koam based on Xiaoyan's experience, although this King Xuanling possesses some power of the holy flame, it does not mean that he devoured the holy flame. Although this is a clone, in my opinion, the price of this clone is quite high, and it can also exert nearly 80% of King Xuanling's power. It seems that this trip to the Xuanling royal family seems to have become more interesting. The Golden Dragon King also smiled slowly, and then the next moment, an invisible force also slowly passed into the strange fire and the ancient ruler behind Xiaoyan. On top of that, Long Yi accepted this power, and also found that his power that had been stagnant because of being sealed for a long time was slowly recovering. It seems that the Xuanling royal family is really worth a visit. Xiaoyan also smiled slowly, then looked at the battle in the sky. A contest between two powerhouses at the peak of Dou Di. Humph, it's just a little trick of carving insects. If it's your main body here, it's worth fighting. But your avatar's strength is too weak. In that case, the 5 of you should stay in my burning incense pavilion today. Elder Zhu also discovered the yellow bead in King Xuanling's avatar, and then said plainly, with the extremely proud tone in his voice, "Can't hide it at all." "Then let's try it." King Xuanling also snorted coldly, and then slowly opened his mouth. The yellow bead in his hand was also slowly lifted, and then walked towards the space where Elder Zhu was. Shabu shabu. Everywhere the yellow beads passed along the way, there was a shrill sound invariably in the space, and an extremely strange black and white light group slowly wrapped around the yellow beads, and then walked away towards Zhu Lao. "King Xuanling, the grievances between you and I will be settled with you sooner or later." Elder Zhu also said slowly, and the next moment, the silver fighting spirit all over his body slowly condensed in front of Elder Zhu. Lei Yin Hu. The next moment, a powerful force condensed by Old Zhu's silver fighting spirit also slowly formed. Xiao Yan saw that, in front of Elder Zhu, a thunder fox also formed in front of Elder Zhu, and then with monstrous destructive power, attacked viciously with King Xuanling's yellow bead. Bang bang bang. There was only a slight noise from the collisions one after another, and Xiao Yan and the others also saw that the yellow bead was actually attacked by Lao Zhu and the silver thunder fox. It was cut in half abruptly. Boom boom boom. After the terrifying yellow bead was chopped in half by Zhu Lao's silver thunder fox, it also exploded instantly, and the terrifying power erupted violently outside the burning heaven territory. On the other hand, the silver thunder fox attacked the clone of King Xuanling reluctantly. As if resisting the yellow bead just didn't use much power. Hee, I didn't think that even if you didn't rely on your status as a battle formation master, your strength would be enough to overwhelm me. King Xuanling's clone also smiled slowly, and then he raised his head quite a bit when he saw that the terrifying Lei Hu was about to attack him. As a noble palm, he gently waved at the 5 people behind him, and the 5 people disappeared instantly. Haha. Zhu Jin, don't be too complacent too early. Some things, I will really get them sooner or later. After King Xuanling's clone finished speaking, it also turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared without a trace. What the asterisk is this King Xuanling doing? Old Zhu also muttered. The next moment, Old Zhu's eyelids shook violently, and then his eyes narrowed. Impossible. That kind of thing is absolutely impossible. When Xiao Yan saw link to this www.novelmtl.com he was also a little puzzled. He didn't know which old Zhu Lao played. Elder Zhu, are you all right? The next moment Xiao Yan rushed to the sky where Elder Zhu was, and said to Elder Zhu, "I'm fine. Everyone is here, right?" Elder Zhu also pondered for a while, then glanced at Mu Feng and Mu Yingying behind Xiao Yan, and said, "It's all here." The 3 said in unison, "Let's go now." Zhu Lao also said slowly, and then the next moment, Zhu Lao raised his somewhat depleted palm and waved slowly towards the space where the 2 of them were just now, and suddenly an inexplicable force appeared. Then repaired some broken spaces outside the burning heaven territory. As for the power that erupted from the yellow beads, when King Xuanling's clone dissipated, it also dissipated naturally. Yeah, Xiao Yan and the others knew the purpose of their trip after hearing this. That is the Xuanling Imperial Pond in the Xuanling Imperial family. This time, the 3 of them, Zhu Lao led the team. With the testimony of Zhu Lao, the big Buddha, the 3 of them are also full of confidence. After all, they just know that the relationship between the Burning Incense Pavilion and the Xuanling royal family does not seem to be very good, but now that Zhu Lao is in charge, then even King Xuanling would not dare to be presumptuous. After all, this old Zhu was the one who repelled King Xuanling just now. Although it was only a clone, it was a real repelling. Ask for tickets. Ask for tickets. After reading the book, vote. If you don't vote after reading it, be careful I draw a circle and curse you. End of this chapter.